According to the INVEST guidelines, a good user story should capture the essence of the customer's requirements. It's not an explicit contract. As you can see in this user story, Secure by Transactions with Credit Cards, we have our user story template. As an online customer, I want to be able to use a credit card to complete my transactions so I can buy plans from the website. This is great. It captures the essence of what the customer wants. It's easy to understand, but there's no way the user story template of, as a user, I want to function so I can have a value, is going to give all the information needed to do the analysis, design, code, and test of this feature. The team's going to have some questions. So the team, product owner, and stakeholders need to have a few conversations to negotiate what this user story is really trying to express. Now, as the user story is developed through these negotiations, details are added until the team understands exactly what the story is describing, enough to estimate a level of effort. One of the most important questions the team should ask is, how will I know I've done that? This tells them how to write acceptance criteria to determine when the story is done. Now, clear acceptance criteria tells the developer how the feature will be tested and gives QA a solid foundation for writing the test plans. If the product owner cannot describe how to know when the feature is complete, more research is needed. While in the product backlog, user stories should be thought of as malleable. During the product grooming meeting, user stories can be changed, rewritten, split, or even deleted, depending on the state of the project and the business needs. And those business needs change as the project progresses. With the product owner's vision, the team will fill in the details of how these user stories are implemented during the sprint. And the customer will correct that vision or add to the details when the feature is demonstrated at the sprint review meeting, which could lead to modifying existing user stories in the product backlog or adding new ones. What is crucially important is to capture any and all agreements made during collaboration and negotiations into the related user stories, so everyone is on the same page and agreements are not lost. So how do we write a user story that's not negotiable? Let's look at 26 here, user authentication. Now we see the story template is, as an online user, I want to be able to log in with my user ID and password so I can get to my personal portal. This is a essence of the customer, what they want. It's open-ended, but then these notes have been added. We want to use the attached document to enforce company policy on passwords. Okay. Password must expire and be reset every 60 days. Maybe that's a policy. User IDs must be the user's email address. Password fields must be as obscured as the user's typing. Then they're telling us what kind of protocol, HTTPS, we're using to transport the credentials. They're even going to tell us how to lay out our screen for registering the user ID and for the login screen, and they're going to give us those. So I guess our GUI team member won't have to do any wireframes. The user ID and password will be stored on the company's secure LDAP server. Unit tests are mandatory, and the company test harness will be used to run unit tests nightly. Well, this is saying how we're going to develop. Code will be run through a nightly build. Code will be stored on the plant website Subversion. Well, there's just way too much information here. There's no room to negotiate. And this user story includes a lot of hows, which is a violation of the Scrum rules. Remember, the product owner gets to say what is going to be developed in these user stories, but the team gets to say how it will be developed. If there's too much information in the description of the user story, it cuts off the conversation. The team has nothing left to ask. Everything's documented. It becomes just the old school way of writing requirements with no collaboration opportunities between the team and the end user or the stakeholders. Now, there will always be some non-negotiable items. An example may be a company mandate, like these strong user ID specifications, or performance requirements, like the number of simultaneous users that the system has to handle. This is fine as long as the details of the feature itself are open-ended, inviting a conversation. The N in the INVEST guidelines stands for negotiable. The art of writing open-ended user stories that invite negotiations enables a collaboration between the team and the stakeholders, which leads to the creation of a product which satisfies the user's needs, resulting in happy customers.